Taurus, this is your Valentine's love reading. Now, I only do these once a year, so it probably lasts a year. But what's so fascinating about doing a love reading for you now is that many of your readings for around, well, almost all of your readings for around 2 years have been about what we might loosely describe as love. And I say that word loosely. You look at the beginning, the opening of my of this vlog, and I use a purposely sort of provocative opening scenes because I don't think we really understand what love is, and I'm sure you don't. And certainly this is going to be challenged during this year. And what I do know is if you look at your 2024 reading, your general reading for 2024, then I can see those changes taking place in you. You're not going to keep following the same trajectory of meeting people, cheating, it all ending. That's not to say it won't happen in 2024, but you are setting off on a new journey. And I can see that in here. But I'm not too certain that during 2024 this new journey will be completed. And let's go to the bottom right, death. That's an unexpected and bitter ending. I'm certain that's to one of your relationships, but that keeps happening with you, doesn't it? You look at the overall energy in the centre there, the Page of Cups, looking for something different, something creative, perhaps looking for what true love is. Right now, and it's probably because we've just had this bitter ending, you're in despair once more, you're in despair. Because, love, I think, to you is about ownership and control. And, you sort of capture somebody. And then, I'm not saying you abuse them. I don't think you're a nasty person. But once captured, you grow tired of it. And the relationship breaks down. And then you get into despair again. And that's been your life for so long. Now there is hope. In the future we have you scoring some victories and there being public recognition of it. Now these could be the sort of victories you've had in the past, the sort of notches on the bedpost type of victories. But I think you're changing. I don't think it is. I think these are victories in trying to discover what love really is. I may be wrong. Certainly what leads to the outcome is you establishing your authority, establishing your power. Now that sounds quite negative if it's in terms of relationships, but I think it's a necessary stage you must go through in order to really change your attitudes, really change your behaviour. It's a slightly conservative energy that's impacting on you here. You're powerful, yes. You're looked on as a leader, but you need to start leading yourself, is the truth. Now, what would destroy all this is, and I don't know if it's yet another breakup, but everything coming tumbling down yet again. So it could be the last one that, we said was in the past, but it could happen again in this year. And if you focus just on things going wrong and being destroyed, then you're going to keep repeating these cycles that we've seen for so long. But I don't think you do. I think that's the point about the power. The power that you have, and slightly conservative way of approaching things is going to lead you to wanting to not only understand what it is you're doing wrong, but to attempt to modify your behaviour as a result. So let's look at each card individually. Have I got this right? It does seem to be telling a narrative that seems to work for me. Now, overall, this reading is characterised by you seeking out something new. Seeking out new and creative ways of looking at the world. New and creative ways of behaving, maybe. Maybe these sort of creative ways of seeing things even come to you in a flash, but it's because you're out there seeking them. You know you must change. You don't want to keep repeating the mistakes of the past, but you don't really know how to get out of it. But this runs throughout the entire reading. So I think there is great hope in this reading, even though it might seem a little depressing and like things are repeating themselves. I don't think they are. I think there's the impetus for change in you, but you have no idea how you must change, and that's what you're seeking out. At face value, it could be you just seeking out a new love, and you know, maybe you will at some point be sent a new and divine love which will change you, but I don't think you're ready for that, if the truth be known, Taurus. Taurus, in the past or recent past, we have a unexpected and bitter ending. Almost certainly this is yet another relationship that's broken down in your life. You're going to be devastated yet again. You weren't expecting it. It's come out of the blue. I have suggested in the past that I think that not all of these problems are of your own creation, that you're being manipulated by a narcissist. I don't know if I'm right on that, but I got a very strong indication of that in the past. But whatever, this is a pattern of behaviour that keeps happening, isn't it? You know, you get into relationships, you throw yourself into them, and then you seem to destroy them. You seem to. Or are you being manipulated? Because I know you feel you can't help yourself, but is that because of you don't realise that somebody is pulling your strings? But yes, it's a bitter ending, a bitter ending. And yes, it does impact on you, just like it always has done. You've gone from being elated, you know, full of yourself, full of confidence, to depressed. Real depression. The depths, and you know, you go through it so often, the depths of despair, you know. You've picked yourself up before and you'll have to pick yourself up again, and you know it. It's no good focusing on these cycles that you seem to be creating. What you've got to focus on is changing yourself. Changing yourself, changing your attitudes, changing your behaviour. Because simply going from these periods of great confidence, great elation, to periods of massive depression isn't doing you any good. And you know that, Taurus, you know that. But you don't seem to be able to get yourself out of it. But I think it's because you focus on romance rather than focusing on yourself and your own happiness. You think that you need somebody to be happy, you know, and while you're thinking like that, which is about this sort of idea of love as ownership, but while you have that concept, you will keep going through these cycles, and in your heart, you know. Now in the future you're going to be scoring some victories. These are battles, not wars, if you like, but it puts you on a public pedestal and it will make others jealous of you. What are these victories? I'm hoping that it's victories in you changing your views on things. and not estual victories. Although having said that, which is what you've done in the past, having said that, providing you're not getting too emotionally attached, maybe it's what you need, even though it's not something I'd ever recommend. But maybe there's a catharsism required here to get these things that have played on your mind out of you, But I'm hoping that it is you making progress in terms of changing your attitudes and behaviour. But that is coming in the future, probably not this year. Now, the energy that leads to the outcome, and I do see the outcome as a good outcome, is you taking back your power. You taking back your power. You taking back your ability to lead others, but absolutely, and yourself. So pulling yourself out of the depression, taking back your authority, taking back your wisdom. I've said before, but I think you're naturally inclined to quite a conservative way of doing things. And I'm not criticising that, it's just a reflection, but this is a sort of quite a conservative power, quite a conservative way of doing things. And I'm feeling this is exactly what you need at this moment in time. Maybe it has nothing to do with love, maybe this is to do with work or business, but throwing yourself into what you are good at, rather than being dragged into these destructive relationships. Maybe that's it. What would derail you is a sudden and abrupt ending. Probably to relationships, but this is one that is capable of destroying much more. Is it the same one that we had in the past? I don't know, we can't tell. But what we can say is that this sort of building yourself up as the emperor, the powerful one, only for a relationship to destroy your confidence and send you into despair, is doing you no good at all. So even if it's a new one, don't focus on it. Recognise that it is this cycle that is your problem, not the destruction that this has brought about, but that you must build your future on firmer foundations. And I include that the foundation of your own personal psychology and happiness. Remember, the outcome comes from this, you focusing on what you're good at, focusing on your power, and not focusing on the destruction. Therefore, I have to see this outcome as a very good outcome. It's an outcome of seeking out new ways of behaving and doing things, which of course is what I said this whole reading is about. There's a certain coyness, you don't know where you're going to a certain degree. And I don't think you do, I really don't think you do. But that's what you must do. Because if you approach things like you have always in the past, it will lead you back into this terribly, terribly destructive cycle. So I see this as a wonderful outcome. Your journey is by no means finished. This is a new journey, a journey of discovery of yourself, learning how to love yourself, how to love God, how to love, and finally, how you therefore can love another. So it is a huge journey that you're embarking on. And if I've got this right, then we must see those victories as victories on the road in this journey, and not eschewal victories, which is what you would have done in the past. So I think it is a reading of great hope, but you've still got a long way to go, Taurus. And we can summarise for you now. Taurus, for at least 2 years now, your readings have mostly been about love. They've mostly been about bitter breakups, you going into depression, despair as a result, seeking out to either get back that relationship or another relationship. And you'll do that by standing in your power. I think you are quite powerful, quite a leadership type person, but also quite conservative. And you build up your confidence and then go back into another relationship that often you yourself destroy, probably through cheating, and we know you've done it a number of times. As though you've got a self-destruct button. Now, I did get an indication last year that what you think is your faults and controlling, you're actually being manipulated by a narcissist at times. And this isn't really your behaviour, even though you're certain it is. So what I can see in this reading is you, at last, understanding you must change, but not knowing how you must change. And the only way that you can approach this change is by what you do best, and that's being this sort of confident leader, powerful, but maybe avoiding love, so that you can avoid the mistakes. What would wreck it is you focusing on the endings, and there might be another ending coming up in this year, but if you focus on those, it's that sends you back into the cycle. And I think you're beginning to realise that no, you must break this cycle, and you can only do that by exploring what is completely new territory to you, exploring what love is, because your view of love is a materialistic view, one of ownership and control. And that has to change, but you can't see how to change it. You can't see, but you are open to it, and that is very much a first stage. And I'm pretty certain it does result in you scoring some small victories in terms of changing yourself, in terms of beginning to love yourself for once, loving God, and only then can you love others. In doing so, you will make people jealous. I mean, this is probably the following year. You will make people jealous that you're recovering. But that's what you need to do, Taurus.